Good afternoon. I'm Jurnee Taylor here with meteorologist Corrales Ortiz, who has had a very few long days. Corrales, how are you feeling this morning, and what should we prepare for? Are you going to sleep anytime soon?
I mean, I actually took a little bit of a nap after I was here earlier this morning with Scott up until around 3:30 this morning, tracking those storms for you, which fortunately the rest of the rain and the storms that we had earlier this morning have made their way on out, as you can see on our satellite and radar. Just a few lingering showers in far northeast Arkansas, and even seeing some partial clearing is nice, seeing some of that sunshine after back-to-back days of some wet and stormy weather. We picked up quite a lot of rain in just the 24 hours. Again, this is not including what we saw Wednesday, especially along just south of Interstate 40 to our west, like Logan, Yell, parts of Perry County as well. Look at that, outside of Danville, over 9 inches of rain in just the last 24 hours. That's why flooding was a huge concern with this particular storm system. We did have a flash flood watch in effect up until noon. That has since dropped now that the rain has moved on out. A nice, mild, cooler than yesterday, but a nice afternoon. Temperatures right now sitting in the low 60s with mostly clear, mostly sunny to partly cloudy conditions. So I have a sneak peek of what we can expect for the rest of your evening and for your weekend forecast as well coming up.
Definitely ready to hear, Corrales. Thank you. Well, people in several communities have a long day ahead of them as they clean up from damage from possible tornadoes. One of those communities is Kirby in Pike County. THV 11's Michaela Johnson has more on the damage left behind from overnight storms.
Strong winds overnight, leaving devastation in Kirby. We're just off of Highway 70 along Ebenezer Road, and we've been here all morning. The first on scene, and uprooted trees is kind of a lot of the damage that we're seeing along here. But let's talk about this one right now. It fell backwards, completely snapping this home in half. There are cinder blocks along the ground. You can see that it's on its backside, on this left side, it's on its back. And then if you go around, you see these stairs no longer attached to the structure anymore. But I want to take you to this home that is just behind me. We learned that there was a family inside at the time of the storms. They tell me they heard strong winds around 11:30 last night, and they were sleeping in their beds when it rang through. The owner of the home rather, he looked out his window and saw the tree coming his way, and then this is what you see this morning as the light has come up. We can see that there's debris, trees uprooted everywhere. Now here's some video that we took earlier this morning. As you can see, there is sheet metal that looks like it's on top of another uprooted tree. There is a trailer home that looks like it's been completely gutted, the door flown open, windows knocked out of it. There are cars that were on the property, their windows are smashed in or completely knocked out. Now, THV 11 was the first station on scene this morning, and after talking with this resident, we talked with more along Ebenezer Road, and they've been cleaning up all morning, and they might be doing that for the next few days. In Kirby, Michaela Johnson, THV 11 News.
Michaela, thank you. We are waiting for more information from emergency management in Pike County to learn the extent of the damage. Meanwhile, the flooding threat is subsiding in western parts of Arkansas, but take a look at this video from Danville from Police Chief Rick Paget. He says they have had several water rescues overnight, but no one was hurt. The worst of the flooding was along State Highway 80, Park Avenue, and the Park Lane apartments in Danville. We're going to have more from that area tonight at 5 and 6, as well as extensive weather team coverage. And we're also keeping an eye on power outages. As of this afternoon, there are more than 4,000 customers without power, according to this map from poweroutage.us. That's slightly down from a peak of around 9,000 outages early this morning. You can see the counties highlighted are the same ones dealing with damage from the more powerful storms last night. New at noon, less than 24 hours after a South Carolina jury convicted him of murdering his wife and 22-year-old son, Alec Murdaugh, learned his fate this morning. Murdaugh will spend life in prison without parole. The disgraced attorney addressed the court before his sentencing, once again claiming his innocence. But the judge said the disgraced lawyer, who has admitted to stealing millions from his clients and firm, lacked credibility. Murdaugh also faces multiple charges for alleged financial crimes. In other news, President Joe Biden now saying he will visit East Palestine, Ohio, in the wake of the Norfolk Southern train derailment. President Biden says, quote, at some point he will visit. That was part of his message released in a statement backing new bipartisan railway safety legislation following the crash that spilled toxic chemicals in the area, forcing people to evacuate from their homes. And that statement comes exactly 1 month since the derailment. Last night, people from the town confronted the railroad's operator. And as Roxana Siberia found out, it was a heated encounter.
I'm stuck. No one's coming to save us.
With pleas for help,
I'm begging you, by the grace of God, please get our people out of here. Yes!
and stories of illness.
Kids vomiting, nosebleeds, numbness in their mouth, numbness in their fingers.
Around 200 residents in East Palestine directly confronted a representative of Norfolk Southern for the first time last night at a public meeting erupting with frustration and anger.
We're going to clean up the site. But we are sorry, and we do care. We do.
Just days after the disaster, Melissa Blake told us she was diagnosed with bronchitis due to chemical fumes.
How are you feeling now?
Same.
What are you scared of?
Get more sick.
Under pressure from residents, the EPA has now ordered Norfolk Southern to test the derailment site for dioxins, toxic chemical compounds that can cause cancer.
EPA monitors have not detected any volatile organic compounds above levels of health concern in the community.
So far, crews there have shipped more than 2 million gallons of liquid wastewater and about 1,400 tons of solid waste to 7 disposal sites in 4 states. Among them is one just south of the disaster zone in East Liverpool, Ohio. Many here say they don't want the hazardous waste either.
So you're worried that this drinking water from this river will be contaminated?
Yeah, that's my biggest concern. We already know that it created a huge problem in East Palestine.
Roxana Siberia, CBS News, East Palestine, Ohio.
The EPA says it could take about 3 weeks to finish collecting data to see if there are dioxins at the derailment site, but officials say early testing data suggests there is a low probability of dioxin contamination. In a THB 11 update, following days of intense debate, the Arkansas Learns bill is closer to becoming law. It passed in the House yesterday, but the bill still has a few more steps before it reaches the governor's desk. Although 3 Republicans in the House voted against the bill, it's still overwhelmingly passed. The bill now heads back to the Senate for amendments made in the House and then straight to the governor's desk. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders not only proud of that, but also very vocal. Take a listen to what she had to say on Fox News last night.
We have to do better. We cannot just kick the can down the road. We are doing things to empower our parents, empower our teachers, and make sure that our students across the state have access to a quality education. We can no longer allow students to get lost in the system. We will no longer allow our students to fail. We are going to reform the system, and the people who will benefit the most are kids across the state of Arkansas.
Sanders standing her ground that this will be the boldest, most far-reaching, most conservative education reform in the country. But organizations like the Arkansas Education Association are still critical of SB 294. The president of the group saying the voices of hundreds of educators, parents, disability advocates, and others have been ignored by those who represent us. And we are looking at sometime next week for the governor to sign off on the Learns bill. In fact, House-sponsored Representative Keith Brooks says the bill could be signed on March 8th at the earliest. Now to new developments in the battle between the owners and residents of a Little Rock apartment complex. Big Country Chateau apartment complex. This week, a city judge ruled that Big Country Chateau must pay nearly $32,000 over code violations, including basic safety failures. On top of that, Big Country has been taken over by a company appointed by the court, which is now in charge of the finances. They're back in court next Wednesday for an additional sentencing hearing. And some utilities will have to answer to a judge on why customers are paying more for natural gas. A class action lawsuit has been filed against the utility provider as customers seek answers. THV 11's Ashley Godwin spoke to the man who suddenly is one of the most important customers of all.
Well, unfortunately, I'm also a Summit Utilities customer, and my last bill was $1,300.
Scott Pointer is the plaintiff's attorney who filed the lawsuit against the natural gas company. He says there's a problem with Summit Utilities overcharging customers without reason and then threatening to shut off utilities. Summit officials have blamed several reasons for the larger than usual bills, like higher natural gas prices, economic issues, and system glitches.
So even though they were using less gas, they were paying double, triple, sometimes quadruple what they had done and are paid in past months.
It's a class action lawsuit, the class being defined as customers of Summit Utilities in Arkansas. The lawyers want to see Summit find a way to remove estimated bills that led to some customers being overcharged over the past couple months.
They should be reading the meters. That's something every gas utility does. And actually, consumers should only pay what they're using.
I reached out to Summit, and the company said it does not comment on pending or threatened litigation. The attorney plans to request a court order to prevent Summit from shutting off service for overdue bills. He hopes to have that done in the next couple weeks.
Thank you, Ashley. Well, right now, this lawsuit does not require other plaintiffs to join the case, but if you would like to file a complaint with the attorney about Summit Utilities, there's a link on thv11.com. And the changing weather has a lot of people wondering, can swings in temperature make you sick? We're finding out still ahead. Corrales.
Well, it's finally the calm after the storms this afternoon. You'll have much nicer forecasts for the rest of your Friday and heading into the weekend as well, with more of that sunshine to enjoy. I'll let you know what we can expect coming up.